Well, I hadn't actually thought about that, but when for my own personal life, when I had actually really dove into GTD when it first came out, I had just been promoted to a kind of a district manager for a number of developers in a large company, and yeah, that completely blew up my system.
Sure.
So I had never equated the two, but I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head.
Now, one of the things we've seen now over the years is that a lot of people in the episodic portions of their life, I just bought a house. I just sold my house.
Hmm.
I just got promoted. I just got fired. We just had a kid. Our kids just left. We're now empty nesters. Any new big, I just discovered I have a life-threatening illness, right? Any of those, and believe me, we get them weekly. The testimonials of people that go, wow, either they were, oh my God, I'm so glad that I installed GTD to begin with because now I had a tool to be able to then help me bootstrap myself into this next level of game, without dying or blowing up from the pressure. Or, wow, I just discovered you guys because, and as in your case, I just moved into a whole new thing and I've been searching out there for something that could help me manage the next level of stuff I needed to manage.
Mhm.
So it's a
Very interesting.
testimony, I guess, to the universality of GTD that it maps to every one of those situations. But quite frankly, if you think about it philosophically or psychologically or just logistically in terms of mental logistics, anybody who's got to keep track of more than one thing that they can't finish, in the moment, needs to use these principles if you want to optimize your creative energy. Otherwise, you're going to be using your creative energy suboptimally to try to remember and remind stuff that can't be finished in the moment. So, how old does somebody need to be to have more than one thing they need to keep track of that matters to them? And that's the audience, and anybody who's in that modality, in any way, shape, and form. But to the point that we were talking about, yeah, it's usually when the pain factor has to be enough, or the stress factor, or the motivational factor has to be there, probably for people to say, oh, I really need to now do something, because GTD is actually a different set of things. It's not like you can just go to sleep and suddenly you're GTDing. It's a fairly significant set of behavior changes. Keep stuff out of your head, when it pops into your head. Decide actions when it shows up instead of when it blows up. Setting back and doing a weekly review of every single thing you're committed to at all the different levels of your life, so you feel like you're more in control. It'd be kind of nice if all those were universal behaviors, but far from it.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Um, Next question. For anyone that sees this interview, what would you like to be the biggest takeaway for someone that sees this interview?
That there's a way to stay on top of your world, no matter how complex or variable or fast or volumic it is. Voluminous is the word. That there's a way to surf on top of that, but it's not free. But it's easier than you think. And there's some simple behaviors called capture stuff externally as opposed to internally. Decide sooner than later what these things mean, what you're committed to do about them, and to build a good set of maps that you can then have to show you what's the result of all of the things that have shown up in my life that are meaningful that I can't finish in the moment right now, that I need to be aware of. And that process is very available. There's a very step 1, 2, 3 about how to get there. And you can do it. It will take a matter of days of full investment to get there. And then it'll take a matter of months or a couple of years to build the habits of doing that habitually. But then that'll, that's going to very much change the rest of your life.
Mhm. What is the question, or what is the question you're dying to answer that no one has ever asked you?
What would the world be like if everybody had implemented GTD 100%?
Yeah, what would the world be like?
It's a good question.
Mhm.
I would think we would see a whole graduation in terms of the level of peace, the level of creativity, the level of innovation, the level of fun, the level of goodness. that would show up. Just imagine relieving all of the pressure not doing this would happen in life. I mean, to me, most of the conflict and most of the bad news out there is because people feel insecure that they can't handle their life, and they're just trying to, patch it up with, some form of, of support my ego or support my whatever so that I can feel more in control. I think the fear of loss of control is the biggest human fear. People are killing themselves and each other right now just to maintain a sense of psychological control. It's that powerful a driver. So if people had more of a sense of, I can actually manage this game, I understand what the game is, and I can manage it at whatever level I want to manage it, then I think it's just going to open up whole new avenues and whole new vistas about how we're operating as a civilization, how we're operating as a planet.
Wow. That's very, very profound. Very profound.
Well, we're in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not some idealistic future. It's called, look, we're either doing that or we're not. We're all on the planet. We're all manifesting. We're all creating. We're all using our creative energy right now. So it's not like you need any more energy than you have. It's called, where's it pointed? Right? What's in the way of it? What do you need to do to free it up? What do you need to do to access higher levels of it that, based upon why you're here and what you're about?
Wow. I'm definitely going to be thinking about this.
Oh, good. Me too.
It's a very I completely agree. I think it would free up so much human energy and so much human potential that the world couldn't help but be a much happier, brighter place to live and be. And yeah, it's I had never actually thought about it in those terms, but that's just thinking about it is like, wow, that would really be something.
And one of the reasons I'll be 67 next month, and one of the reasons I'm still so inspired in doing this work is because I think it's what we're here to do. I mean, that's my experience, is what we're here to do, is be accountable and responsible for where we have put our creative energy. You have, why is it there? Why did you throw that stuff in your drawer? What does it mean to you? What did you commit to that you haven't finished up on or completed yet? So I think that's part of our lesson here, is to learn, look, I've expressed and invested my creative energy, and some of those are open loops that I'm still going to have to pay for. You can call it karma, you can call it whatever you want, just open loop. So learning what that process is, and that we're in that, and then how to maximize and optimize the fact that we're in that process. And then, your creative energy is still going. So I'm responsible for where I've put my creative energy, and then I need to be responsible for where I focus my creative energy. Because now that I understand that it's constantly producing all the time, where do I want to focus it? Do I want to focus on bad news, good news, what I want, what I don't want? I don't know. So I think we're here to learn that too. Hey, come on, we have this huge, creative capability that you were born with, that you live with right now. It's kind of like, where are you pointing it? It's not a matter of giving people new ammunition. It's like, look, where are you pointing your gun? You're already pointing it. Like, are you pointing it, bam, this is terrible, this is awful, I don't want to do this, whatever. Or, wait a minute, here's what I'd like to resolve in this situation. Here's what I'd like to accomplish. So that's lesson 2. It's like, what have we created? How do we manage that? And then how do we then access the optimizing of our ability to focus on what we want to focus on? And then how do we make sure we execute on that? How do we make sure that once I've made that decision, then there's a part of me that then is in a free flow of that, so it doesn't back up on me? Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, that's where GTD came from. So people say, what's GTD? I say, that's GTD. Mm-hmm. Then you back it up to, yeah, and you do need an in-basket, and you do need some list manager, and you do need other things to be able to manage part of that process. But there's a much bigger game here at play. Mm-hmm. All I start to recognize a component of that, and then sort of define and give people some practical techniques and capabilities to be able to then execute on those principles that I think we're about. But I think there's huge. That's why there's a lot more to GTD than meets the eye, and we see them daily. We get testimonials of people go, "Wow, I did these simple little things, and then these profound things started to show up."
Mm-hmm. I mean, I had no intention of mentioning this or anything, but you're talking, and I'm thinking of my own story. Part of the reason why I decided to start the magazine was because I could see my own children struggling with a number of these different things, and I was trying to get them interested exactly in GTD, and because I knew that this could help them be successful, this could help them channel their energy, this could help them through thinking processes. There's a wide range of benefits. So this was one of the driving motivations for getting this started, and that came from exactly what you're talking about with GTD in your book. You started it. You have a huge legacy. That's why I think you're a legend.
To be happy with the next book, if you haven't heard, is it's being co-written by me and my CEO, Mike Williams, and Meg Edwards, who manages our coaching. And both of them are parents, Catholic parents, but they are. And the next book is going to be for parents and caring adults about how to use daily teaching moments to make sure this thought process in your kids by the time they walk out into the world, because it's not being taught. Mm-hmm. There's no promises in terms of when that book will show up. We're all quite busy with a lot of things, but it's a interest out there. And to your point, I'm delighted that you sort of recognize that. And because this is particularly video, everybody sees. I didn't realize we were going to video this, so I told you earlier on before this. I've got the Dropbox thing on here. Like, is this an advertisement? Well, Dropbox is way cool, and Drew Houston, who created Dropbox, is a GTDer, and I've met with Drew. And anyway, so I just happen to have this on. So if you want to know, was this a paid political announcement? I use it all. Great tool, fabulous reference tool. For people.
Yeah, I know.
Just FYI.
Yeah, myself, I use it as well. I'm not exactly sure if the audio is quite something going on there with the audio. You got quiet. Could you say a few more words, David?
Sound on my side.
Okay, it seems to be there. It just kind of dropped off there at the end. I'm not quite sure, but that's all right. It's okay. If you have a little bit more time, I have a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
That's kind of the accessory questions, if they have time for it. What's most challenging for you when getting things done on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, what's challenging is it's actually kind of the challenge of opportunity. How many things I could be putting my creative energy into right now that could add value. So being able to have the right maps and to get myself to look at the right maps at the right time, to be constantly thinking strategically about where do I need to put my focus. So that, you don't get rid of that challenge with GTD. It just makes it, a little easier, I think, and maybe challenging because it is easy. Then, it's like, okay, David, why are you sitting thinking about the next big thing you need to be working on? So I get to confront my own issues about self-esteem, or I'm not sure I can do that, or I'm not clear about what my outcome is. So a lot of the challenges are using my own stuff that then just puts up in front of me, okay, David, you need to get clear about that, or what are you going to do about that, or where does that go? I have around me, which is, it's kind of the bad news is I have no excuses. It's like, why easiness, or am I willing to tolerate my own stress? So, I teach this stuff, so, that's a challenge.